What's up, folks? How's everybody doing today? There's a moment in many lives where a person realizes that many of the things they thought were true aren't true. And then a person may go through a period of rebirth where they become more aware of the circumstances which put us in the place we are as humans. People tend to grasp onto that yearning for truth so much that rather than saying, well, what I've learned was true, or what I've learned was untrue, and there's more to understand, they will say rather, well, now I've learned the new truth. This is true. It's just like you're holding on tightly to this. It's like rock climbing, okay? You're hanging on. You found a hold, something that'll keep you supported. And you're looking all around for the next hold. And you're not satisfied to say, well, there's a hold somewhere. You want to find it because you want to continue climbing. And we feel like unless we have a solid truth that we can embrace, that, well, it is what it is, right? Sorry, I had to check this camera thing. Make sure that I have enough time, or that I didn't have the setting wrong. What I've been thinking in the last little while here was about how people, all of us are at the mercy of each other for knowledge. And no one of us can possess knowledge. No one of us can experience the whole of existence. Let's just take a person, for example, a human is able to obtain a full understanding of the workings of the universe. They know why they're here. They know what they're supposed to be doing. They understand death, life, birth, and the existence of every molecule and the place for it. Let's just say hypothetically that person existed. In what case would that benefit that person at all? Does knowing the end and knowing the means, does that cause a person to behave in a way that's beneficial? In other words, does a human who has innate knowledge of everything, would a human be able to function in a society that we've created? Probably not, because they would see through all the bullshit. And I think that's what a lot of us are doing. We have little pieces of the truth, but the thing is, the ultimate realization, or what the Buddhists call Satori, the awakening, is not attained by any amount of book learning. It's not attained by any amount of thinking. In fact, thinking is something that will pull you farther from that realization, which sounds kind of, well, one might think that kind of defeats the purpose. If knowledge takes you further from knowing, then why learn? Because knowledge takes us to a degree of understanding of where others have gone wrong in the past, as well as where others have done well. But some of the biggest questions that have been asked through history have never been answered, and there's still humans today that have only lived for 30 years who think that they have these answers, that they're the one person out of the billions and billions who finally gets it. And I think that's a very arrogant attitude, but when a person does present that, we have to look at it and say, well, what exactly do they have? What makes them so sure of what they believe? And I think that that's one of the most beneficial things to learning from others, is to watch not just how they behave, but how they defend their point of view. Now, let me say that a point of view that needs defending may not be a valid point of view at all. However, sometimes we try to express what we think is true to others, and they just don't agree. And that's fine. And I don't think any person is right to say that they, that they know the full picture. So, what I'm getting at here is that people work as a team, as a whole. We are an organism. Just as the cells work within your body, each cell in your body has its own function, and it knows its function. It doesn't go out and try to become another cell. It doesn't argue or fight over where it is, or who it is, or what it is. It just is. It just exists. Looking at one of those cells from a standpoint of a being the size of a cell, let's say, you might look at all these cells and it may seem like chaos, running around doing all this stuff, all these different parts and factions, and to the outside it may appear that there's no real organization. Here's some heart, cells working in the heart, here's some working in the liver. From something that small, if you were that small, you wouldn't understand the concept of the whole human body that is being controlled and functioning through these cells. And the same way I see is humanity, exactly the same way. There's little factions and groups of humanity. You might even go as far as to take some symbolism and say, hey, maybe there's a nation that is the heart of the earth, or maybe there's a nation that is the liver of the earth. But trying to do that would basically distance others. People say, no, we're the heart of the world. No, we're the brain of the world. It's not that cut and dry as just comparing directly to a body. What it is it's a whole group of people together functioning as one organism. So when one person has something to contribute, we can't dismiss that just because everything else they contribute is wrong. You see, and a person, the example I wanted to make was people who take on a particular career. Let's say in etymology, the study of ancient, of words and where words come from. That person may be totally uncultured in society. So the knowledge that they have about that subject is dictated by the perceptions that they have about the world. But the knowledge is still knowledge. If this word came from this word, it doesn't matter who's producing this, or who's studying it. The answer is the answer. These are truths that can be understood. Here, we're looking at ancient writings, we see this word, we compare it with this word, it makes sense. Of course, even in etymology, there are numerous different translations or interpretations of words. We start looking deeper and realize it's not so easy. You can't always find out where a word came from. And likewise, you can't always find out where an idea came from. The ideas have been passed around for thousands of years. The same ideas, the same archetypes, the same stories. And within that, there's always one person who has a particular specialty. And by embracing that specialty and by learning from what that person has to offer, we can move forward as a society. So, to give you an example, it would be a person that is a bad person that has bad values. They make bad judgment calls all the time. Their life is miserable. Everything they do works out against them because of their own attitude towards life. So if they present an idea, we're going to use our interpretation of that person in order to say, well, if this person is this kind of person, then what he's saying must be wrong, or it must be skewed. But we have to remember that this person may have just one contributing thing that you could learn from. I've had conversations with some of the most just annoying, arrogant, hateful people, and had them present one faction of truth to me that helped me move forward. And that's where I'm coming from here, is that when people don't possess the same general guidelines for life that we do, we tend to cast them aside and say, well, they're wrong. And I just say we as a whole. It's obvious. Society does it. We grab onto what we think is cool, what we think is, what we're told is cool, Just, we need to start thinking outside of the box, and not just outside of this social box that we've created, but outside of the box that we've created for ourselves. Outside of our own shallow view of each other. I don't really know where to go with it, but as humanity, we'll figure it out. I hope. Hope everybody's doing well today, and if you could just find one person in your life that you don't agree with, and find that one point you agree with them on, a lot can be gained. So, peace and love.